Hey, it's Soleil, and this is episode 266 of the Orange Pill Investor. And let's see if I can see if this is refreshed on Twitter. Yep, 21 seconds. So let's see if I can pull this up just in case anybody actually joins this damn thing. And see. I'm still trying to figure this shit out. Is there a chat? Okay, there we go. If I actually click on the damn thing. All right, now I'll pop out the chat. And maybe it won't jack it up this time. All right, cool. It only took me 7.5 minutes to get started yesterday, minute and a half this time. That should be somewhat of an improvement. All right, so what I suspected was going to happen did. Today I want to talk about MicroStrategy margin in my Tastytrade account and the little, I don't know if it's a buying power hack, but one of the YouTube commenters, Eric, actually showed me how to buy basically kind of like a protective put, but I guess it convinces the algorithm that you're not as irresponsibly long as you really are. What's up, Justin? And Tastytrade has this weird thing, and I guess it's probably for the best, especially when you're as irresponsibly long MicroStrategy as I am. So 3 days prior to earnings, they will go in and they increase the margin requirements. And since I have like 90% of my portfolio in MicroStrategy, I've got this little token Tesla position here that is, is basically to just try to fool the algorithm. Like, hey, I don't just invest in one asset. Really, I swear. I actually am long on Tesla as well, but not financial advice, but I couldn't be any longer on MicroStrategy, at least over the next year, with the assumption that the bull cycle continues its little 4-year deal, which it may or may not. So yesterday I had over $100,000 worth of buying power. Tastytrade says earnings is about to happen. Anything can happen during earnings. So we are going to increase the margin requirements considerably. So the market closed on Friday. I had 6 figures in buying power. Wake up to the market on Monday, and I have a margin call. So these little parentheses right here means I have less than $0 to invest. And the first time this happened to me last quarter, I kind of shit myself because it was very similar. I had like 70,000 in buying power. And I am using like 6 figures of margin here, so it's not necessarily the safest position to take. And even Michael Saylor, when he's talking about being a triple maxi, he's like, "Look, go borrow money that's not dependent on the price of the Bitcoin. Not like going 100x leverage, and as soon as Bitcoin takes a dip, you're just going to get liquidated." But last time this happened, I was like, all right, let me sell some positions, and I sold some Tesla, I sold some MicroStrategy positions just to get positive. But this Eric off YouTube was talking about buying puts, and it doesn't really even cost very much. So I'm going to try this out. I'm going to go down to the cheapest ones that I think will even matter at all. Let me go like to the 150 strikes. So these things only cost like 15, 20 bucks a pop. And just to buy one of them for 20 bucks, I'm getting an increase in buying power of $10,000. So that's like, for 20 bucks, 100x would be to 2,000. This is 5 times that. So this is like 500x. I'm getting like 500x buying power just by adding some protective puts here. I don't even really know how effective some 150 puts would really be. I suppose, yeah, I mean, if MicroStrategy went to zero, then a 150 put makes worst case scenario. I can sell off these shares for 150. So it takes like absolute black swan risk off the table. So, okay. That's fine. So really, it looks like I could get positive just by buying one of these, but I might as well just buy a lot and let's see what happens. I don't want to overpay, so let's try the mid price, maybe just above the mid price. So just by buying 20 of these things, paying 300 bucks, if this really works, this is going to freak me out a little bit. But all right, I'm just going to click send. So that filled. And presto changeo, I have $200,000 worth of buying power, which is more than I had. I think I had like 120 or something Friday. So I guess it's just, the algorithms is probably smarter than me or whatever. But this doesn't make any sense that just 20, well, maybe it does. So 20, each one of these contracts is basically protecting 100 shares. So I guess that does make sense. I have 2,000 shares, and I just bought insurance for 20 of them. That makes sense. All right, so, last time it kind of pissed me off a little bit because, I ended up having to I can't remember if I actually sold shares of MicroStrategy or if I ended up just dumping a bunch of Tesla, but I probably encountered some short-term capital gains taxes because I'm very sure that I didn't hold those shares for at least a year. So that kind of pissed me off that I was incurring probably a tax hit just because the algorithm flipped. And yeah, that's my money printer, Justin. I figured out the how to print. Just call me the Fed. Um, so yeah, so this is pretty cool. Big shout out to Eric on YouTube. So apparently it's not just X MicroStrategy and X Bitcoin community that actually has a freaking brain in their heads. There's some smart YouTubers out there too. And to think that I actually almost I didn't even want to upload my videos to YouTube because I was still a little bit pissed off about the scamdemic and a lot of the suppression of the correct information by calling it disinformation. And I kind of just considered YouTube part of the machine. And I was like, fuck them. I don't even want to upload over there. But yeah, Justin, you were from YouTube, I think too, right? I think you encountered my account first through YouTube, and then we hooked up on X. But I was like, oh, I'm gonna have this principled stance, and I'm just gonna upload to X for free speech and everything. But I don't know if I caved or just came to my senses. But YouTube's probably giving a little bit more reach, and if I'm spreading my message more and spreading Bitcoin more and spreading MicroStrategy more, it's probably an overall positive thing. So very grateful that sometimes the comment section can be brutal, but I'm pretty glad that I'm actually reading the YouTube comments and responding, because this was pretty freaking helpful. And really, if MicroStrategy does shit the bed on earnings, this might save my bacon. So this is pretty cool, and glad I did it. I was actually wondering if I was going to make another attempt at a momentum play today. I was looking at the market and I was like, ah, holy shit, it's running again. And I think if I could have got in at like 243, maybe that would make sense. And then, hopefully just watch it run to 250 like it did. Let's just check the SPY and see if the SPY is green. Like I'm not a momentum expert, but I probably wouldn't want to run a momentum trade if the SPY is red. But it's kind of greenish. However, we did bounce off 250. Now there's no reason why we can't go to 260, but I'm kind of glad I missed out on that. I was actually cooking steak and eggs and watching MicroStrategy pump my bags. So I think that's really all I've got to cover today. Is I was anticipating this happening, and it didn't catch me off guard like it did last time. And so I think I'm going to. Oh, no, that was the other thing that I wanted to do. So I picked up 5 of the 460s for January. This could be an epic expiration date. And I know the whole game is buy low, sell high. So buying shares at all-time highs or buying long calls at all-time highs seems counterintuitive. However, let's just look at Apple. If we took that a little too literally, then you might have sold high on Apple when it was, went up from $2 a share to $80 a share, but then you missed out on 80 to 230. So it only buying low only matters as long as it keeps going up. And again, my basic assumption is that this is the bull Bitcoin cycle, and I'm planning on riding MicroStrategy up through most of 2025. And if January, there's a bunch of people who are like deep in the money. They bought these calls when MicroStrategy was probably at like pre-split, before we ran to 2,000. I mean, they were probably buying in at $200 a share, $500 a share maybe. I don't even know what the price was back a year and a half, 2 years ago. But these guys are so far in the frickin' money. They have a big incentive to just exercise them. And so I kind of wanted to just jump in on that excitement just in case the market makers could get a little squeezed here and there. And so I bought 5. And I think I'm going to grab another 5. Especially since I just loaded up on all this buying power, right? Now it's burning a hole in my pocket. How much is 5 going to cost me? About $4,000. Yeah, that seems right. I almost thought about grabbing 15 more, but I think what I will do here is I would be more than happy for these to ride up and get in the money, but I'm not counting on that necessarily. So my average trade price is what, 865. So if I attempt to sell 5 of these for double, so it's 865, so 1700. So if I sell half of them for double what I paid, time good till canceled. If this fires, then the worst that I can do is break even, and I can just hold the other 5 calls, maybe even to expiration, and they just win or lose. Maybe in December, if there's like a end of the year push, if there's some money to be made with the other 5, maybe I close them early. If it looks like I can take some profits, but they're not going to be exercised in January. So that'll be fun to see if this is a winner or a loser. All right, that was the last thing that I think I needed to do today, but let's just, since I'm in here, let's check the 5K account. My goal when I started the 5K account was to just kind of demonstrate the wheel strategy and, using stocks that are not expensive, like MSTR, like, kind of just to prove that I can still make money doing the damn thing without tons and tons of capital. So you can see I've been running the wheel on CLSK and Riot. And I have been cheating a little bit because the premiums that I've collected, I did buy some like long MicroStrategy calls and some long Tesla calls. Which has been, basically printing money. Let's see if I have any buying power here. So I got low margin risk. Yeah, no reason for me to take any new positions here. And in my joint account, I've got a little bit of cash, not using any margin in this account, which I'm happy with. I don't even need to buy any puts here. I guess I could take a new position and then buy some puts here, but I don't really feel the need. The IRA, don't think I need to take any actions in this account. Upside down, big time on these 210 calls, but they've still got some time. 11 days, and I've got 300 shares, and I've got 2 leaps. And these leaps are basically up over double. So in 11 days, when I have to make a decision on these 210 calls, do I pay $3,000 to roll them? Depending on what I can, what I can roll them for, I may just peel off one of these long calls, or even 2 of them. So if I sell 2 of the long calls, that's going to give me about what, 34,000, and then just buy 100 shares with it. So that may be how I work this one. I've still got the 4 speculative leaps that I can just hold on to. Let me just count the covered calls I have. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Yeah. So I could sell. Actually, yeah, I don't want to carry at least 1 covered call over earnings, so I'm not going to open up a new one, even though we're hitting all-time highs, and this is kind of like an Ivy rank is over 50, so that can be an indicator that implied volatility is up, and it could be worth taking a chance on selling a covered call. I would prefer IV rank, like when MicroStrategy rips 20% in a week, 40% in a week, which is probably, I'm assuming that will happen at some point. Maybe Bitcoin rallies over a weekend and then the market just opens up like bananas. Or there's some kind of earnings surprise and the price just gaps up. And that's another thing. I don't know if the market is sniffing out some kind of reaction that they're expecting for earnings, or the flip side is there's all of this hype, and then when MicroStrategy doesn't switch to fair market value and they have a fucking negative EPS again this quarter, if the whole market just gets confused as shit, and then we see 180 again, you just never know. But I'm kind of wondering if the market is sniffing out a kind of a different attitude about MicroStrategy, or if this is just a little rope-a-dope moment and we're gonna see the stock crash on earnings. We'll see. But the point is, I'm so bullish on MicroStrategy that I don't really like having covered calls over earnings. Binary events are important dates. So earnings are example for Tesla's like Battery Day, Investor Day, which those always seem to be a shit show. The market hates any event that Tesla puts on. But there can be, we saw that Tesla's earnings call was a positive reaction, but it just seems like those other events they put on, the market hates them. For like pharmacy stocks, binary events would be, we're expecting an FDA approval or, not approved, and the price is going to go ape shit in one direction or another. What's up, Junkrat? Good to see you. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to afford to take any of these covered calls off, but at least one of my 100 shares will be uncovered over earnings in the IRA. So I don't think I need to really make any moves there. All right, I think that's probably all I wanted to cover today. Maybe I will hit the chat and just see. How do I see if there's anybody? How many people are watching? Yeah, anybody got any questions or comments? I'll just answer real quick. Otherwise, we'll shut it down. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Appreciate everybody watching. Around X today. I'll be popping my head in and out. No, I'm working. So we'll say I'm on break right now. All right. Be good, y'all.